All right, I'm not taking anything apart today because I don't have anything to take apart except a chair, and I didn't really feel like setting up the air compressor and all this other stuff to take a chair apart. So I'm just going to show you some of the tools that I use surprisingly a lot. And it's not going to be just tools, it might be other things as well. The first thing that I carry this thing everywhere with me. It's probably one of the coolest things I've ever used. And it's one of these. It is a razor blade. I use this thing all the time. And this is the newest generation of this type of blade. You could take it out and replace it. This one's kind of old and crappy. But there's places to store extra blades in here. It's in here. It locks real well with the button. It's got a screwdriver on it. Clips to your belt. There's also a bottle opener on it that sometimes actually gets used. But yeah, this Milwaukee Fastback. This is one of the better tools that I own, and I use it a lot. And not just at work either. It gets used all over the damn place. Second thing that I use actually pretty frequently is this scraper. It's just a little scraper. Got it from Walmart. It's like $5. And this thing gets used quite a bit. It gets used quite a bit on cleaning windows and other things like that, tile. And it's awesome. It was like $5. You had to buy extra blades with it, but yeah, this little guy here, he gets used a lot. Third thing that I use pretty frequently are levels. I use a lot of levels. One that I use quite a bit is a 4-foot level. I use this one a lot. It's a Stanley. Gets used a lot. However, it's also not the most convenient thing in the world because it's 4 feet long. So I have one of these as well. This little bugger gets used a lot as well. It's good for like tight little spaces. This is good for making sure your studs and shit are even. But I pretty much use this for everything else as well. I also have a leveling app on my phone, on the work phone. And I use that from time to time as well, but mostly I try to use something like this. Let's see, what else do we use? Hammers. We use quite a bit of hammers. This hammer is a Dewalt Hammer. And this is probably one of the best hammers I have ever owned. It was around $30. And the balance on it, just the way it feels in your hand, it's awesome. It's a really good hammer. If you're gonna buy a hammer, I would suggest this one. It's the Dewalt 22-ounce framing hammer. And it's fantastic. I couldn't ask for a better hammer than that. Another hammer that I actually use quite a bit is this mallet, this rubber mallet. What's the difference between the white ones and the black ones? The white ones don't leave marks. Sometimes the black ones do. And I actually use this to make this foil ball. I also used the framing hammer on it just to see how it would work. And this is an entire roll of foil that I basically hammered down into a solid ball. And it was kind of out of boredom / stress relief. Let's see what else we got. Besides the impact, one which everyone should have, and something I would suggest you buy with your impact, is one of these. Comes with all types of shit, Torx, Robertsons, all types of stuff. I would highly suggest that if you have one of these, or sorry, if you have one of these, you should get one of these. And I have Makita stuff, because I bought this and a combination drill with 2 batteries and the charger, brand new from a crackhead for $60. He didn't know what he had, and he wanted some crack, and I took advantage of him. So yeah, screw that dude. Let's see what else we got. Masking tape. We use a ton of this crap. Blue and green. We go through this. I mean, I probably go through a roll of this every week. I go through a roll of the blue stuff every week too. What's the difference between the two? Well, nothing. One's green, one's blue. And I use one for sheetrock and one for paint. So that's how I know when there's a piece of paint on, or a piece of tape on the wall. If it's green, there's something wrong with the sheetrock. If it's blue, there's something wrong with the paint. And the type of screws that I use drywall screws. I use them for just about everything, except exterior. If it's on the interior, I use these. And these are, in my opinion, some of the best screws that you can get, and they're reasonably priced as well. I don't use them on exterior stuff because they're prone to rust, but I don't normally do stuff on the exterior of houses anyway. I do stuff on the interior, and these are really good multi-purpose screws. I prefer the coarse ones over the fine ones, and the difference between the two is the number of threads that are on the screw. I prefer coarse ones. Some people like fine ones, and that's fine. I just like the coarse ones. Let's see what else we got here. This is what I use for exterior shit. These are kind of long ones, but they're galvanized nails. Just common galvanized 16D nails. This came in a 5-pound box. Most of the stuff I get comes from Home Depot, just because it's right by where I work. I get stuff from Harbor Freight as well. People shit on stuff from Harbor Freight. There's not really anything wrong with stuff from Harbor Freight. I have a few things here. I got this. This is for, I use this for chipping concrete. And we have this little 3-inch cutting wheel. It's pneumatic. And I use it for cutting rebar. And this, by the way, was like $10. And at the amount that I use it, I probably wouldn't spend more than $10 on something like this. But it serves its purpose, and it's probably got more than $10 worth of use out of it. And I think this was $12 or $14, and it's definitely got more than $12 or $14 worth of use out of it. One thing that I never ever go anywhere without, except these, are sunglasses. I go everywhere with sunglasses. You use them as, I know you're probably not supposed to, but I do anyway. I use them as safety glasses. Also, I have blue eyes, and we live in Texas. The sun gets pretty bright here for me. And sometimes I wish I had brown eyes, but I don't. What else do we got? Ooh, I just bought some of these. These are Auger Bits. They're from Harbor Freight, and they're pretty good. They actually drill straight round holes where your normal bits really kind of don't. Let's see, what else do we got here? I've actually got a ton of use out of this thing too. This is a Sheetrock Rasp. It's got used a lot. If you're going to do anything at all with sheetrock, you need one of these. surprisingly enough, this thing gets used too. I have gone through a ton of these things. They're not the most robust things in the world. This one came from Walmart. But they do get, it gets used quite a bit. They break, they bend, whatever. They're cheap, go buy another one. That's about it. That's the majority of the tools I use in a day. I have other tools around here, but they're nothing special. Then we have a mud pan, not special. Framing square. Saw. One thing I bought this, and I'm actually pretty glad that I bought it. It was $10 at Walmart. And again, it's gotten far more than $10 worth of use out of it. Interestingly enough, it's this bicycle pump. You're probably thinking like a bicycle pump. Oh yeah. Yeah, we take things and don't necessarily use them for their intended purpose. We use them for what we need them for. And a bicycle pump it's a lot of times it's far more convenient than taking an air compressor over to a house that's under construction that doesn't have electricity, and then stretching out, a 100-foot extension cord just to set up, an air compressor that I'm only going to use for about 30 seconds. It takes longer to set the tool up than it does to actually use it, and I hate stuff like that, which is why we have this. I can just walk up in there, pump up the gas lines, whatever else needs pumped up real quick. It's way easier. It was $10. So sometimes when you're dealing with tools, you have to think outside the box a little bit with what you're doing. So yeah, that's it. Those are some of my tools that I use on a regular basis. If I could think of anything more, then maybe someday I'll show you, but today is definitely not the day. I'm going home and going to sleep.